Have you ever seen a discarded phone charger that could actually be turned into an antenna? It sounds a bit unbelievable, right? I thought the same thing, until I tried it myself. In this video I'll show you exactly how I made it work. Next, I have a SIM card that can no longer be used, bought cheaply but with surprisingly decent material quality. It may look tiny, but inside it contains a layer of metal contacts that are actually quite useful for DIY projects. In this setup, I use the SIM card as a simple circuit board, acting as a bridge between the signal receiving component and the signal wire. Those built-in contact points make the connection cleaner and more stable than directly soldering wires together. With a bit of creativity, something meant to be thrown away ends up playing an important role in this homemade antenna. With a small square piece of wood like this, it makes a lot of sense to use it as an antenna base. It not only helps the entire structure stay more stable, but also gives it a cleaner and more solid look from the start. When everything is mounted on a sturdy surface, arranging the signal wire and related components becomes much easier and far more reliable. A circuit board also needs proper solder points to make connections easier and more reliable. That's why at this stage I'm using a soldering technique to create solid and stable contact points. These solder joints help the wires stay firmly in place and ensure the signal flows smoothly without interruption. In DIY projects like this, clean and well-made solder joints often play a key role in the durability and overall performance of the entire setup. Copper wire is a really interesting material because it can serve both as a signal receiving element and as an excellent electrical conductor. Thanks to these properties, it's commonly used in homemade antenna projects, where every component needs to be both efficient and reliable. When arranged properly, copper wire not only helps capture signals more effectively but also ensures smooth and consistent electrical flow. Simple, easy to find, yet highly effective. That's why it's always one of my go-to materials for DIY builds. And the signal receiving element made from copper wire is shaped into a spiral structure, and this isn't just for looks. The spiral form increases the surface area interacting with incoming waves, which helps improve signal reception compared to a straight piece of wire. On top of that, this structure allows the signal to be gathered more efficiently before it's passed along to the main signal path. It may look simple, but this geometric arrangement can make a noticeable difference in how well a homemade antenna performs. This connection section is something I added mainly as a creative touch to make the design a bit more unique, but it also serves a very practical purpose. It helps extend the connection distance, making it easier to arrange the components without everything getting in the way. It's time to put that old phone charger to good use. Instead of letting it sit around collecting dust, I'm giving it a more interesting role. Take a look at how I connect this charger to the homemade antenna assembly, and why it turns out to be a good fit for this project. Using soldering flux makes the soldering process much easier and more effective. It helps clean the metal surface, allowing the solder to flow smoothly and bond evenly to the contact point. As a result, the solder joint looks cleaner and holds more securely. In DIY projects, a small amount of flux at the right moment can make a noticeable difference in the quality and reliability of the connection. Please prepare one more power socket for me, which will be used to link the charger to the coaxial cable. This makes the connections cleaner and easier to manage, while keeping the whole setup more organized and solid during use. The coaxial cable plays an important role in any antenna system because it's designed to carry signals with stability and minimal interference. Its multi-layer structure helps protect the signal as it travels from the receiving element to the processing device. Thanks to its reliability and efficient signal transmission, coaxial cable is commonly used to connect the antenna to the rest of the system. In DIY projects, choosing the right cable and routing it properly can make the entire setup run much more smoothly and consistently. At the other end of the cable, I'll add a straight F connector and a 90-degree F connector. This makes it much easier to connect to the TV, especially when space behind the screen is limited. Depending on how the TV is positioned and how the cable needs to run, having both connector options allows for a cleaner installation and helps avoid bending or stressing the cable. Alright, everything is finally finished. I'm honestly pretty curious to see how it's going to work. On paper, it all seems promising. But in the end, the only way to know is to test it. Before connecting the device to the TV, I'll show you the TV's current status, so you can clearly see that it's not receiving any signal at the moment. Once that's confirmed, I'll go ahead and make the connection, making the result much clearer and easier to follow. That was fast. It worked almost immediately after connecting. The result is honestly a pleasant surprise. Still, as good as it looks right now, I want to wait a bit longer and see how stable it is over time. I've been waiting for a while now, and nothing unusual has happened so far. Everything seems to be working steadily. Still, just to be absolutely sure, I'll disconnect it and plug it back in again to see if there's any change. So in the end, from things most people would consider useless, we've managed to put together something that actually works. There's nothing fancy or overly complicated here, just curiosity, patience, and a willingness to see an idea through to the end. This project isn't about proving anything big. It simply shows that sometimes, the most familiar and overlooked items can deliver the most unexpected results. What really matters isn't expensive tools or complex equipment, but how we choose to look at and make use of what we already have. If you found this video interesting, maybe next time you come across an old part, you'll pause for a moment before throwing it away. Thanks for sticking around until the very end, and I'll see you again in the next DIY project, where we'll keep experimenting, building, and discovering new ideas together.